there, Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bosk's Bounty video. And in this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Star Wars The Vintage Collection Landspeeder from Star Wars A New Hope. Now, this has been released as part of the Return to Tatooine mini beat or mini campaign that Hasbro are running in 2025. There's various other items that we're getting as part of the Tatooine theme, including, of course, the Mos Eisley Cantina, the HasLab. This particular Landspeeder comes with a deluxe Luke Skywalker on one of those larger cards that we all love, and by all accounts it's a really good card back in terms of the image. Bit of a shame it's on one of those larger card backs, but he does come packed in with lots of extra accessories that the first release on that single standard sized card did not. So with all that being said, if you didn't enjoy the video, hit the like button down below, subscribe if you're new, and let's take a look at the packaging. Alright then, so here is the front of the packaging, and this is very similar to the previous Landspeeder that we got way back in TVC 1.0. You can see you've got the Landspeeder name pill there, Kenner logo, and this is very much like the original Kenner version as well. It's a definite nod to that style of boxing. You can also see in the top left hand corner it mentions the Luke Skywalker Tatooine figure that we're getting, and there's a little bit of a mock-up there of the Landspeeder, and we've got Luke, the new Ben Kenobi, and then we've got C-3PO and R2-D2 on the back. And we also have a Sand Trooper there as well, but I think that might be a custom-made Sand Trooper. It might not be the Sand Trooper that we're getting in that Stormtroopers of the Empire set. On the back of the packaging, something completely different. This is something that they've been doing recently with some of their other vehicles, and we actually get a diorama shot here with the toy. It looks absolutely fantastic. It really does. We've got some Sand Troopers there, some Stormtroopers hanging around. We've got a moist evaporator in the background. And if you are able to create something like this yourself, then this Landspeeder is going to look absolutely awesome. So if you've got some sand handy, things like that, you may be able to create something similar. As I said, especially with that new Sand Trooper on the way and with the Ben Kenobi, which shouldn't be too far behind either. But it really does look good. That is a great shot, and I do like the way they've done that with the box. It just mixes it up ever so slightly. Top of the box there, we've just got a couple of images, one with the Landspeeder and Luke Skywalker, and then a single image of Luke Skywalker holding that longer rifle, both of which Luke is wearing his poncho and boonie hat, which are included as part of that deluxe Luke Skywalker included in the set. One side of the box has an image of the cockpit area, which we'll get into later. Other side of the box has an image of the Landspeeder with the bonnet up there, so you can see all the inner workings and the engines of the Landspeeder. And at the very bottom of the box we have another image there, just pretty much telling you what's included in the set. We've got the Landspeeder, Luke Skywalker with all of his extra accessories. Alright then, so that's the packaging. Now unfortunately I do apologise, but I no longer have my box for the original Landspeeder from TVC 1.0 to compare the size. I believe they're roughly the same size. This one may be slightly taller to accommodate the deluxe Luke Skywalker card back inside there, but I do still have the Landspeeder itself, and in this video we're going to be doing a complete comparison of the two, seeing what is new about this one and comparing the two. So with all that being said, let's open the box and check it out. Alright then, so this is what was inside the main box. You can see the deluxe Luke Skywalker is laid flat there, so we'll just lift that out of there. We'll take a look at that in a second. It's an unpunched card, and then if we look in there, you can just see the Landspeeder underneath there. Hopefully we'll be able to lift this piece off. Now, you mustn't forget the engine in here, the third engine. It's in this bit of cardboard here, so if you're opening yours up and you can't find that piece, it is in there. So we'll just get that out. You can see it there. And then there's the rest of the Landspeeder there. So we'll just get it all out of the box and I'll set it up. Okay then, so before we get on to the Landspeeder itself, I just want to take a quick look at the deluxe Luke Skywalker, especially the card back, but we will be opening him because I've got no real desire to keep him carded really, and that is because he is on one of these larger style cards. It is a bit unfortunate because that is a, you know, fantastic image of Luke Skywalker with the Landspeeder just there. There he is in the bubble. Yeah, unpunched and everything. What a shame. And also it is numbered as well, VC344A. So they've put the A designation on the end of the Luke Skywalker figure that we got in the main line. There it is. What a, Man, what a fantastic card. It really is. What a shame that is. But as I said, I've got no real desire to keep this carded. And also I want to compare the figures as well, because he does have a slightly different loadout on his belt in terms of the pouches. And also he has that soft goods there underneath to allow him to sit in the Landspeeder a little bit better. Although it is entirely possible to use the mainline Luke Skywalker with the, soft vinyl plastic part of his tunic. You can get him into the Landspeeder, because I've tried it with the TVC 1.0 Landspeeder and it works fine, but this one's going to work just a little bit better. And there's also some paint applications going on the boots as well, so we will do a little bit of a comparison before we look at the Landspeeder, but it won't take long. So what I've done just for now is I've left the remainder of the accessories that came with the original Luke Skywalker in the main line. So we've got the little droid controller there, the unlit lightsaber and his lit lightsaber. The rest of the accessories, I'm pretty sure the binos did not come with that Luke Skywalker either, but they do with the deluxe, so we'll check those out. But yeah, as I said, no need to check these particular accessories out because we got them with the mainline figure. Alright then, so here is the deluxe Luke Skywalker on the right hand side, and there are some obvious differences which we can point out straight away. If we work our way down from the boots, you can see that this one actually has paint applications on the boots. He's got deco, he's got sandy boots, and they look great. They really, really do. Moving up the figure, we can see that he has the soft goods below the belt. That's going to enable him to sit in the Landspeeder a little bit better. He does have a completely different belt, and something that I wasn't aware of is that this little pouch here on the right hand side is actually removable. It's like got a little peg on it. It can come out, and then I imagine you can then put his binos onto the side instead, because those do have a little peg. He does still have the hole there for his lightsaber hilt, and he also does have the hole on that side for the droid controller thing there. So apart from that, the head sculpt looks a little bit different. I mean, it is the same. The hair is slightly different as well. It's a lighter shade of brown. I much prefer it, in fact. And I don't know why. It's just, even though the head sculpts are the same, this one just looks loads better for me. I mean, if this was the one that we got originally when this one came out, then I'm sure there wouldn't have been as many complaints, because I feel this one, I don't know whether it's the photo reel or what they've done, but it just looks a little bit better in my opinion. It might just be my eyes playing tricks on me because it's a slightly different figure, but to me, I don't know, maybe his sort of cheekbones are less pronounced or something, or his lips are less pronounced. I just feel it looks better, basically. If we just turn them around, you can see that that deco on the back of the boots is still there as well. So they've gone all the way around there. And then you can see he has a similar two pouches on the back of the belt there. But apart from that, it is the same sort of hair sculpt, but just different paint applications. Let's just bring him in real close so we can just see there. I don't know, I just think it looks a little bit better. I mean, it is the same sculpt. There is no doubt about that. Maybe it's the sort of lighter hair that does it. I just think it looks better. So a nice little upgrade there for the figure. And what I'll do now is I'll just get the rest of his accessories and we can take a look at his poncho, his boonie hat and his long rifle. Just a quick comparison. So this poncho here was the one that came with the Saga Collection version of Luke Skywalker, and this is the new one. And the way they packed it in to the bubble there was fantastic. It's under a separate piece of plastic which keeps it nice and flat, no creases in there. Really nice poncho that, but very, very similar to the previous one. The hat on the right hand side is the new version. This one once again was packed in with that Saga Collection figure where you got the poncho. So it's a newly sculpted hat, slightly smaller, and you'll see in a second that it fits the new Luke Skywalker absolutely perfectly. And here he is with the poncho and hat on. You can see, really nice fit. Was pretty easy to get on, no problem at all. And the sculpting work on that hat's actually quite nice. Really good. And finally, we've got his long rifle there, and you can see the difference compared to the other version. I believe that version actually came with the Landspeeder previously. and this one was packed in with the deluxe Luke. You can see there's actually some paint applications on there. It's a brown piece of plastic with some little flashes of brown paint or sort of beige paint, and this one's just an all black piece of plastic, and this one actually has a sight on there, which this one doesn't. I always found that this one was annoying trying to attach it to the side of the Landspeeder. Let's hope that this one's a little bit better and it doesn't keep falling down. Alright then, so let's take a look at the Landspeeder itself and talk about some of the features, and particularly the new features. But first of all, a feature that's been there with a lot of the previous Landspeeders is the wheel mechanisms. You can see that it does have 3 wheels, and they are operated by the gear stick in the middle. So if we just push that forward, that will make those wheels come down, and then you get that sort of hovering motion, if you like. And then obviously if you pull the gear stick back, they retract into the body, and then you can just lay it flat on the ground like so. But lots and lots of detail on here. The hood does lift up, which the previous version did not, so we're just going to do that now. And I've got to say, the level of detail in there is fantastic. The sculpting work is really, really good, but there is also some deco in there. So they've painted these bits beige, and even the engine, which we'll see a bit more clearly in a second when I put the lid down. But you can just see in there's some decent sort of sculpting work in there. I'm not too sure how often you're going to have the, the hood or the bonnet up, whatever you want to call it. But it's in there because this is the vintage collection. We tend to have these sort of things like working parts, engines, things like that. We just clip that back down, and you can see the battle damage on the front there. A really nasty dent with lots and lots of scuffs and paint applications for the weathering going all the way round. We have the uncovered engine there, and when I bring in the previous version for a comparison, you'll see that they've actually bothered to put paint applications on it this time. So you've got some wiring, you've got bits of red, bits of copper, silver. So that's definitely an improvement as well. Moving around the back, you can just see the rear vents, if you like. And then there's the little clip for the rifle, which we will put on in a second. But there, that little piece of engine that's sticking out of the hood there, you've got more paint applications on there of those sort of copper wirings. So that's really good in my opinion. We've seen a lot of paint applications missing these days. And the best thing about this new Landspeeder, in my opinion, is the area at the back of the seats. We can actually put C-3PO sat down. I will show you how I've got him set up on my current Landspeeder, and it just looks terrible basically. So that is definitely a welcome, feature with this Landspeeder. And I also think that the colour of it looks better as well. I think it's kind of like in between the 2003 version, I think it was, and the 2011 Vintage Collection version. The Vintage Collection version is like a sort of terracotta colour, and the 2003 version is, a lot lighter than this, basically. Too light in my opinion. But I think they've done this one really, really well. Not too much going on with the bottom of it, you're not going to see that anyway. But in terms of the detail, I think they've done a pretty good job. You can just see inside the cockpit there, you've got some panels. You've even got paint applications on a panel there with some buttons, green and red. There's the steering wheel. So all good. So here are the 2 Vintage Collection Landspeeders that we currently have. This is the new one, obviously, and this is the original 2011 version. You can really see by the colour. I do feel that this one is a lot more screen accurate in my opinion. I think they've got the colour really nicely. Now this one wasn't really lacking paint applications or deco or weathering. It had some pretty good weathering. I just think that they've enhanced it even more on this one. The bash on the front is a lot more pronounced than this version here. There's a lot more scrapes going on, and you can see C-3PO there. He's just fallen over because this one doesn't even bend at the knees, because what's the point? You don't have that gap at the back. So he just has to sort of sit on the back there, and it doesn't look great at all. With this new one, unfortunately, we do have to use the C-3PO that we have with the bendy knees. I guess there are others in the line, but this is the Vintage Collection one. It's not a great C-3PO, so they do need to update him. But you can just put his feet into the back there and have him sat down with his feet, which looks a load better and is an important feature, in my opinion, for the new Landspeeder. So there's the 2 side by side. I'm actually quite pleased to now get rid of this one. I'm going to do a little bit of a comparison now without the figures, and then we'll get Luke Skywalker in there to see how well he fits in that cockpit. Alright then, so here are the two Vintage Collection Landspeeders side by side, so you can get a good look at the differences, and they are a completely different sculpt. It doesn't look like it necessarily firsthand, but it really is. You can tell by lots of ways basically. This one is ever so slightly longer. You can see that the engines are slightly different as well in terms of their shape. Also, of course, the bonnet or the hood, whatever you call that, doesn't lift up on the old version. And the little part of the engine that sticks out there, you can see that is different as well. And this one has no paint applications on it whatsoever. So you can see the massive improvement on that one there. But I'm not going to lie, they do look pretty similar in terms of the sculpt, but I think that this one has been massively improved. And the fact that you can now sit C-3PO in the back is, you know, a huge win for this particular Landspeeder. Then if we just sort of look at them side by side like that, you can now see on this one, as I was mentioning, there are no paint applications whatsoever on that exposed engine. It's just silver paint basically, whereas this one, the new version, you've got a lot more going on there. The sculpt's better, and you've got that sort of paint applications on the wiring. So again, a bit of an improvement for the newer version. So if I was going to pinpoint one thing that I prefer on the previous version, it is the rear engine, the center engine. I just feel they've executed that a little bit better. It's a little bit lower than that one, and also the sort of stand that it's on, if you like, that raises it up is a lot sleeker on this one. It's thinner. I don't know, it just looks a bit better. If we look at it side on, you can just see there. I don't know. It might not be as screen accurate. I just think it looks a bit more aesthetically pleasing. But that's just me. So yeah, of course, when you're comparing two Landspeeders against each other, they are going to look very similar because both of them are trying to look like the source material. But I do feel that this one's got enough about it. And especially the fact with the paint applications, the weathering, I think they've executed that a lot better. I don't necessarily feel that you need this to lift up, but you know, of course, with the Vintage Collection, this is the sort of thing that we get and that we kind of expect these days. You want these sort of extra things to, you know, set them apart from your average toy, if you like. But yeah, I think they've done a pretty good job. Let's see how well the rifle attaches to the side. I think we're just going to be able to plug it in like that. So that's a big improvement in my opinion. That lays there very, very nicely. Much, much better than the previous version. Okay then, so here is the Luke Skywalker, the deluxe version with the soft goods, enabling him to sit down a little bit easier. And I've also taken that side pouch off there, just so I don't lose it as I'm trying to get Luke into the cockpit there. So let's see how easy that is to get him in. I've kind of extended his arms a little bit so he can hopefully grab hold of the steering wheel, or look like he is anyway. As best as I can anyway. I'm sure if you were to fiddle around with that a little bit better, you'll be able to get him holding onto the steering wheel. But he looks good in there, doesn't he? That looks pretty good. And then we've got the Ben Kenobi, which has got, you know, huge robes and everything, and this is the Legacy Collection version one, so we'll try and get him in there as well. I mean, he fit into the previous Landspeeder, but he's not going to look great with all his robes on and everything. But there he is, next to Luke Skywalker. And then we'll get our rubbish C-3PO. Come on, Hasbro, give us a new C-3PO. There he is. And then we've got the Force Link 2 Tatooine R2-D2 from the 2-pack, which is a great R2-D2. So we'll just plonk him on the back as well. So there you go. So there you go then, guys. That is the new Landspeeder. Right, let's get the Mos Eisley streets and see if we can create a little scene. So there you go then, guys. That is a very, very basic scene just set up with the streets of Mos Eisley, just to show you essentially what you can do with it. Of course, you'd want to have a lot more characters in there, a lot more figures, loads more things going on, accessories, moisture evaporators, boxes, crates, Jawas, all that kind of thing going on. But they're in my cabinet at the moment. But I have just put a couple of my custom sand troopers that my buddy Daniel Charp made for me, just so you can sort of get an idea of that scene from the film that is depicted on the back of the box. So there you go then, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you going to be even bothering picking one of these up if you already own the original? Do you think it's worth it? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this video. That has been my review and comparison of the new vintage collection Landspeeder. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and channel members as always. Your extra support means a great deal to me, so thank you. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we shall see you on the next one.